Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Bathurst and Elwell Sports Show. I'm your host Henry Elwell alongside my co-host.
I'm Lewis Bathurst.
And this is going to be a new weekly sports roundup show where we're both students doing sports journalism.
The whole aim of this show is to take the biggest news stories from sports throughout the week and discuss them a bit, and then just see where conversations go from there, and just both put our love of all different sports into this podcast.
So firstly, this week, a major news story within the world of sports has been the Luka Dončić trade from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now this is mental, really, from the NBA perspective. I mean, this is probably the highest profile player to ever be traded.
Yeah, you could say that. You can't think in recent history a more prolific trade. Maybe you could go back to the first time that LeBron got traded from the Cavs, but still, at that point, it still probably wasn't the magnitude of this.
This broke the internet. I mean, the internet went into meltdown over this. I mean, I don't think Twitter's been that active in however long. I mean,
especially when the news broke over here, it was middle of the night in America. A lot of people would have been waking up to this news.
I mean, the NBA is growing in this country, in the UK, and everyone a lot of people that I know have been talking about this. Like, this is groundbreaking stuff. Now, if you don't know, which I presume you all do know, Anthony Davis is part of this trade. Basically a Lakers legend, really. I mean, done everything you can with the Lakers. He will be moving to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, Anthony Davis is 31 years of age, Luka being only 25. I mean, it makes if we ignore every other stipulation as part of this trade, it doesn't really make any sense at all.
No.
Other than the Lakers, it makes sense for the Lakers, but
I think the Utah Jazz as well. They're involved in the trade. They've got a good rookie and a few picks for the upcoming draft. But I think the real winner to the trade, of course, the Lakers. You've got Dončić, who's only 25, 6 years younger than Anthony Davis, and in his time in the NBA, he's already got the Mavericks to a Western Conference final. And
only last season, yeah.
You can't really ask for much more than that from a player, and I assume he's just as shocked about getting traded as the world is about him being traded. You wouldn't see a world where he should have been traded at all by the Mavericks.
It makes zero sense from the general manager to do that. I can't. I suppose it's hard when you're British talking about an American sport, but this is stupid.
Yeah. It's not a trade that anyone would have. A lot now with sports journalism, you get leaks in the press, leaks on social media. Nobody heard anything of this until.
The fact that this managed to stay under wraps.
Yeah, it's massive.
So it must have either happened instantly, like as in like no one was it was like on a whim.
Yeah.
Or the Lakers and the Mavericks have very good, blankets, I guess, to keep everything under wraps.
But even with the Mavericks getting Anthony Davis, they've also got a first round draft pick, but that's not for another 4 years. And so you really have got to question the general manager of
I mean,
Mavericks.
he's gone out and said that defense wins championships. I mean, that's me and alluding to the fact that that's the reason why he's picked up Anthony Davis for Dončić. Well, when you've got a player of the caliber of Dončić, I don't think it's. It seems stupid. It seems.
I mean, you can of course see why the Mavericks have picked up Anthony Davis. He's a great player. The big concern for most people is of course age.
Yes.
And injury prone. He's a very injury prone player.
Yeah.
He's out for he was out for yesterday's Mavericks game through abdominal injury, I believe. And he's just a player who doesn't stay fit often enough.
And also he is 31. I know LeBron is in his 40s, and stuff, but he's the exception to the rule. I mean, you're getting on at that point, and Luka's only 25. So yeah, it is weird. It is, and the NBA has seen another weird trade. Well, not weird, just kind of a bit of a mental trade with the San Antonio Spurs picking up De'Aaron Fox from the Sacramento Kings, which, I mean, it makes sense for them. It makes sense. He'll be playing alongside the likes of Victor Wembanyama. But I don't know. It's just the NBA has been on a right weird, but a very good run at the minute of hitting the news. I mean, this is again speculation, but I think I sent it to you how they wanted Giannis.
Yes, Golden State Warriors. Obviously already got Steph Curry, great player in his own right. They were looking at acquiring both Giannis and LeBron, which
would
break the sport quite simply.
That's almost not right. I mean, that was only reports, and whether or not they were substantiated is another thing.
I mean, now we can move on from the NBA to a more local sport, you could say, with football. A big occurrence this week was, of course, on Monday night at 11 p.m. The deadline closed for the winter transfer window now. It's not January anymore. Finished on the 3rd of February this time. And you'd take our biggest showcase of that sport, which is the Premier League, of course. When you look at some of the business done, the one team that sticks out like a sore thumb is Manchester City, whose business has been, you couldn't again say crazy this transfer window.
Stupid, I think, is the correct word. With the likes of them spending 180 million on players which almost seem pointless.
I think not to
degrade the players, but it seems stupid business.
Yeah, when they're spending 10 million shy of what the rest of the 19 teams have spent combined, some questions do, of course, need to be asked, because when you've got players coming in like Kusanov, the young Uzbekistani centre back, for close to £35 million, and he was yet to break through at the Lens first team, playing most of his football recently in the Lens B team. You do have to question that transfer, and that played out perfectly in Man City's game against Chelsea last week. His first touch of Premier League football, he headed the ball back towards his goalkeeper, didn't get enough on it, and it went straight into path of Nicholas Jackson, allowing Chelsea to score.
I think it shows that he's not maybe ready.
Yeah, and I think that's...
And the pressure of being 35 million is...
It's crazy, and
it's crazy numbers.
I think Pep soon realised that after the Chelsea game. Within 15 minutes, he'd already had an error that led to a goal. He'd been booked. He'd give a ball away numerous times. He had a 50% pass success rate as a centre-back, which just it's not good enough in the Premier League, unfortunately. And we saw that on Sunday against Arsenal, where he didn't feature in the starting 11. But that didn't really bring out an improvement in Manchester City, as they went on to lose 5-1.
Well, City have signed Marmoush for 64 million.
That's another one that seems...
From Frankfurt. That seems crazy. Expensive and a bit wild.
I think that's more wild from Marmoush's side of things than it is from Man City's side of things. The first few games that he's played, they've started him more as a false nine, you could say, a number 10 role. But that's just not how he plays. We've seen him in the Bundesliga. He's been part of a strike force at Frankfurt, and he scored numerous goals for Frankfurt. And I think it was probably a silly career move from him to go somewhere like Man City, where you've already got a Haaland in the squad that you're going to be competing with on a regular basis, because Haaland's not one of those strikers that needs someone alongside him. He plays as a lone striker, and Man City have recognised that, playing Marmoush in the 10, but why would you acquire him for 65 million in the first place if you knew you couldn't play him in his preferred position, you could say?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the Marmoush signing. I reckon within a few seasons he'll be out the door.
Yeah,
I can't imagine him ever is the plan for him to replace Haaland? But then no, because Haaland has signed a new contract recently.
A very large contract.
A very large contract. Was it 9.5 years?
I believe so, yeah.
So, I'm not quite so sure about that. And then also another big one that's for £50 million, Nico Gonzalez.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Porto. I mean, I'm
he's
sure
been playing really well for Porto. He's a goal scoring midfielder who can play a pass. He can set a game up, and with Man City without Rodri, and you could argue Kevin De Bruyne has not been at the same level that he has been in previous seasons. You still feel like £50 million for an unproven midfielder from Porto is, again, excessive. When you've got that money to spend, you can spend it, but is that really necessary?
It doesn't seem that way, does it? I mean, 50 million is a lot. I mean, not for City. I'm not silly, but it seems an excessive amount of money.
And going back to Kusanov, the Uzbekistani centre back, when you look at the other business that Man City's done, they've signed Bar for around 5 million. And then loaned him straight back out to Lens. You've got to question whether he was part of the deal to bring Kusanov in, especially with the add-ons being rumoured to be around 5 million. Was the need to bring Bar in? And even when he comes back from Lens on loan at the end of the season, will he start pushing for first team football next season? I'd argue not.
I mean, was the idea for the Uzbekistani lad to start first team football? I mean,
well,
when he started against Chelsea. I mean,
that was the first game after he was signed.
Is that the plan? Because, I mean, yes, he's only played very limited football in the Premier League. I get it, and you can't really judge someone off the first game. But you can at the same time, and it wasn't a great showing from the lad.
And you look around the rest of the Premier League, you've got a few other teams making some shrewd signings. You look at Aston Villa, they brought in Rashford on loan, of course. Rashford's had his issues with training, and Amarim's been very vocal about his lack of training, his lack of work ethic. But you can't help but feel on loan at Aston Villa, he will, if he does find any form of what he has done the past.
I think Rashford is a very. I mean, he has 7 goals this season in all competitions. It's not shocking.
No.
It's not incredible, but it's not shocking.
But I
think when you've lost John Duran, and you've lost the players you have, you do need someone, and Rashford he can score.
Yeah.
He's a known goal scorer. He can do it. Amorim I don't think likes him. Full stop.
I think there's definitely been a clash of personality. Although Wayne Rooney's come out and said on a different podcast, he said that he has seen what Amorim's seen. Marcus Rashford training solo, lack of training from Marcus Rashford.
Yes, it's just a clash of.
It is, and when you go back to Euro 2020, obviously played in 2021 because of COVID. Marcus Rashford was playing some of his best football. If he comes to anywhere near to where he was playing at that point, you think Aston Villa have got a right player on their hands. He is a proven goal scorer. Ollie Watkins as well. I know he picked up a little niggly injury against Wolves on Saturday, but there's not a large time period on his return. And like you said, with John Duran going elsewhere to Al Nassr.
For a crazy fee, a mental fee.
Speaking about mental fees, you can move on to Brighton, who have had a questionable window.
Brighton received an offer for their player Matoma for a ridiculous
95 million pounds.
£95 million, and they ultimately turned it down.
I like Matoma as a player
from Al Nassr. I mean, that's. Very good player. Very good player.
I don't believe it was the beginning of last season. He was in some great goal scoring form, was scoring as many goals as anybody in the Premier League. But when you see he's had his few injuries this season, he's not played as much as he wanted to do. And when you get an offer for 95 million players
surely you can't refuse it.
You shouldn't be able to refuse it. But Brighton did. And hopefully for them it works out and he has a great end to the season.
I mean, you've got to hope for them it pans out and he is very good for him. But 95 seems a lot.
But especially with them getting rid of Evan Ferguson.
Yes, yeah.
You do question their goal scoring ability, and Matoma does bring goals when he's not injured. He's definitely not a player that will go missed. Brighton have also loaned out Enciso to Ipswich,
which is quite a good.
It's good. It's
quite a good transfer.
Good deal for Ipswich. Ipswich have had, you could argue, a very, very good window. Because they got rid of Harry Clark, who was vital in their promotion season last season. He's gone to
Sheffield United on loan.
On loan. The other club in Sheffield were also linked with him, Sheffield Wednesday. But when you look at the players they brought in, on deadline day, they brought in Alex Palmer, who I think Muric, you could argue, is a weak point in Ipswich team. They don't have a prolific Premier League squad, but I think there's worse in the division. But Muric,
but it seems to work.
Yeah. When you see the pickup results, when they beat Chelsea, you just, when you watch Ipswich, you think the one point where they could improve was goalkeeper Muric. I'm sure he's a good goalkeeper in his own right, but he's just not been at Premier League level this season.
No.
And you watch what Alex Palmer's done for West Brom this season. 12 clean sheets, I believe.
Well, Alex Palmer's been doing it for years on end.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But again,
he is a seasoned goalkeeper, and for Ipswich, I mean, it's a good acquisition for Ipswich.
It's for an undisclosed fee. You'd be concerned if they were paying excessive amounts of money for him. He's proven that he's not an up and comer, you'd say, but he's a very, very solid goalkeeper in the Championship level, and I don't see why he couldn't do a job in the lower ends of the Premier League.
100%. And obviously, another big acquisition this window was from Tottenham Hotspur, and they signed Tell from Bayern Munich. Now, I mean, Tottenham are going for a crisis at the minute, really.
Very much so.
I mean, the news stories that have come out from all the journalists about Tell joining the club seemed very odd. I mean, yeah. he said no at first.
To Daniel Levy.
Said he wanted to go to United.
Yep,
Manchester United, and that fell through. Or whatever,
and then Postecoglou went and had a conversation.
Worked his magic, I guess.
Changed his mind.
So they really do need.
When you've got a keeper at the level of Vicario out with injury, as a lot of their teams out injured, I think 15 million-ish for Kinski is not a bad acquisition. He was unproven, but I think since he's come in, he's shown he's more than capable of doing a job until Vicario has gone back. I think he'll do well to keep Vicario out of the team. I like Vicario as a goalkeeper, but I think
Kinski's done quite well actually.
Yeah.
I think actually it's quite a good deal.
Yeah.
Less than 15 million. I mean, it's not a crazy amount of money in the grand scheme of football. No. Obviously, they managed to get the Danzo deal done, which wasn't looking too promising.
Nope.
They've missed out on Disasi from other London club Chelsea. I mean, he's now gone to Aston Villa.
Yep. I mean, when you look at Tottenham, they've got the injury crisis at the minute. It's not going under the radar. All the injuries to first team players. Just the other day in the Europa League game, Dragoshin tore his ACL.
Yep.
He's going to be out for the rest of the season. That leaves them with Archie Gray in defence.
And especially since they're only on 27 points in the table. I mean, 14th. I mean, it's not.
But one poor move I think they've made this transfer window is probably sending Will Lancashire out on loan to West Brom.
Yeah, but I'm not too.
Of course, it's good for West Brom. Josh Myers, second top goal scorer in the league, but he suffered quite a serious injury last week. He was going to be out for quite a large period of time, so West Brom did need to bring someone in to replace that, and I think West Brom's done great out of that deal. But when you look at Tottenham, I think maybe their injury crisis isn't so much present at the top of the team. It's more in the defence and midfield where you see the injuries creeping in. Right, so we move back over to America now with their biggest day. It's not arguably their biggest day. It is their
biggest day. The big game, as we don't have to call it that. We can call it the Super Bowl, but as everyone else has to call. Yeah, it should be an interesting one. I mean, the Chiefs play the Kansas City Chiefs play the Philadelphia Eagles in New Orleans, I believe. Two of the most hated teams in the league, but they're hated for a reason because they're good. That's why.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see. I mean, Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes. I mean, they could be on for a third straight
Super Bowl,
which would be the first
time ever. It's the
first time ever. So that'd be pretty monumental.
Yeah, and I think, as we touched on with the NBA earlier, I think the NFL's got an ever increasing fan base over here in the UK. Obviously,
100%.
Obviously, we see three games a year over here now most seasons.
I mean, yeah, and if you're the NFL, I mean, you probably want to capitalise off the UK market, and
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 years there's London Royals or
you can definitely see,
what have you.
We've obviously got the UK NFL Academy. We've had a few graduates of that into the draft.
It's really growing in this country, and you see Super Bowl parties popping up everywhere, being advertised and everything.
Yeah, there'll be pubs near you if you're in the UK showing the Super Bowl.
Showing the game, yeah, 100%.
Of course, timing isn't perfect with it being into the early hours of Monday morning. A lot of people working Monday to Friday in this country.
But that's time zones for you, though.
Yeah,
that's how it
we
be.
Can't expect them to suit our time.
No.
A lot of the press for the Super Bowl has been done this weekend. Jameis Winston, the former quarterback of the Cleveland Browns last season, current free agent, has been ever present for Fox Sports, doing asking questions of the likes of Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, and his primary question has been, "What's your favourite colour?" In prime.
I mean, that's
Jameis
a very
Winston fashion.
Now that is investigative journalism.
Yes, of course.
Very, very good.
And another journalist asked Travis Kelce if he loves Travis Kelce more.
If he loves Taylor Swift
more, or he loves phantom 15-yard roughing the passer penalties. To which Travis Kelce shunned the question immediately.
I mean, I'd love to know which more. Which more? That's not English. Which he likes more.
Yeah. It's a good question.
I mean, you can gamble, by the way, on how many times Taylor Swift will be shown throughout the Super Bowl. That is something you can gamble on.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you're that way inclined, I mean,
a lot of people's favourite bet to put on during the Super Bowl is what colour Gatorade will be poured on.
Yeah,
on the manager.
So American, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Somebody knows. Someone's got inside information. Someone's got $1,000 on it to be purple Gatorade somewhere. Yeah. When you look at it, it is a massive sport. It's a massive occasion. Not many singular events in sports across the world get as many views as the Super Bowl gets.
No, it is monumental. I mean, over there it's considered a public holiday.
Yeah.
Not in this country. You don't get time off work for that. But you can't even get time off for a World Cup final or an FA Cup final. You know. Imagine you get that. Imagine you get time off work for the FA Cup final. But yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot. If you look on social media, a lot of like Instagram reels and TikToks are Saquon Barkley. You have to save us. You can save the NFL. He can do, which in itself is quite funny.
I mean, another event in the world of NFL that's coming up this week is the honorary awards ceremony, where the likes of MVP will be awarded, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year.
I mean, and the MVP award is between Allen and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I mean, and they've had a very tight run.
Yeah. It was Josh Allen for a very long time until first team All Pro was announced, and it was Lamar Jackson. The same people who select the first team All Pro selects the MVP, and although Josh Allen beat Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, votes were cast for the MVP before the playoffs even started, so they have no bearing on the result of it. So if you had to hedge your bets,
and to be fair, that game was that game was decided by
a drop ball from
Andrews. I mean, like if you're being honest about it, that's how it that's how it was. I mean, so
I don't think Lamar was particularly worse than Josh Allen on the night. I just think the Bills looked after the ball more than the Ravens did.
Well, looked after the ball it's kind of an understatement. I mean, you dropped it after. They dropped it after time.
Lamar Jackson had thrown 4 interceptions all season, and he threw one on his second drive of the game. Moving back over to this country, Ireland to be specific. One of their main sports over there in Ireland is horse racing. Anyone who follows horse racing will know that this weekend it was the Dublin Racing Festival over at Leopardstown, which had a huge bearing on all anti-post markets for the Cheltenham Festival in March, which is about 7 weeks away, I believe. We saw some breathtaking action throughout the week. None more so in the Irish Gold Cup than Galopin Des Champs. 2-time Gold Cup winner, 3-time Irish Gold Cup winner. They don't really get better than that. There's been questions thrown around this week that is he possibly the best horse that Willie Mullins has ever trained, and it's a valid question. Of course, Factor File beat him earlier on in the season in the Punchestown in the John Durkin, but you have to look at the John Durkin as a race that hasn't suited Galopin Des Champs in the past. He much prefers going left-handed, much prefers going left-handed around Leopardstown, around Cheltenham, than he does around Punchestown going right-handed, and also the distance was just all wrong in the John Durkin. He's not a fast horse by any means, so 2 mile 4 was always going to catch him out somewhat or another. And probably the biggest talking point of the week was the Irish Champion Hurdle, where State Man won it by a number of lengths from stablemate Daddy Longlegs, but the main talking point of that particular race was the fall of Lossiemouth on the first circuit. Reports are coming out that she's okay, but many questions are being thrown around about her future, whether she'll ever be the same horse again. It looked a nasty fall. Of course, it's never pleasant when a horse falls, but in a magnitude of a race like that, where you could argue it was a 2-horse race, no one really saw anyone other than State Man and Lossiemouth winning the contest. As soon as she came down, there was no competition between the two, and that obviously has had a bearing on the anti-post markets. If Lossiemouth isn't the same horse she was, you can't really see the Champion Hurdle going any other way than either Brighter Days Ahead or Constitution Hill. I'd probably be with the latter. I think Brighter Days Ahead should probably still go for the Mare's Hurdle, especially now we've seen Lossiemouth take such a heavy fall. I don't think there's any competition in that thingy in that division, and Michael O'Leary has made it very, very, very clear that his intention is to win a race at the Cheltenham Festival and not to finish second in a more valuable one. That was the first episode of Bathurst and Elwell Sports Show. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening, and hopefully see you for the second episode. Bye.